Hi, Miss Ruiz and everyone. Good afternoon from me, and hope we are in a good health during this pandemic. So, before I begin, let me introduce myself briefly. My name is Tina, and I'm one of a student of Pamulang University in English Literature major. And I'm currently working in a textile machinery spare parts company, which based in Germany. So, refer to the final exam of Development of English Literature subject. In this opportunity, I'm going to be talking about the English literature development of Augustan period. And first of all, I will begin by giving some information about the history of Augustan period, and then I'll move to the social background of this period, and then finally, I'll elaborate the social figures or the important figures in this period. So, have you heard about Augustan period before? Or maybe you read in the article or something? I have some information and it will make you more understand about this period. So, check it out. So, we are now enter the history section. First thing first, what is Augustan period? Or why it is named as Augustan period? Augustan period is the period in the half of the 18th century during much of the reigns of Queen Anne, King George I, and King George II. The term Augustan is refers to the King George I, desired to be compared to the first Roman Emperor, Augustus Caesar, who ruled when Virgil, Horace, and Ovid were writing and suggests a classical period of this literature, when poetry and the arts were supported and admired and thus flourished. 18th century Augustan literature emulates the classical style, tending to be polished and shaped according to the rules which governed both Roman and Greek works. However, classical works are not just emulated but also parodied during this Augustan period. Now that you've heard about the history in August period, next I'd like to move to the social background of Augustan period. Check it out. Now entering the social background, the Augustan period was characterized by the expansions of the middle classes made up above of all the traders, merchants, bankers, and other professional men. The middle classes was fueled by the development of foreign and colonial trade and the mercantilistic policy adopted by the government, thus growing in power and prestige, strongly influencing the social of Augustan people, especially when industrial revolutions happened. This period was the golden era for industrial and trading major. Many industries belonging to the middle classes arose in this period. For instance, coffee beans were introduced in England in 1652 and coffee houses appeared everywhere. Since 17th century, England pioneers went to the Atlantic Oceans to open plantations and went to North America to find farmland. The settlements in South was considered to be more important due to their bigger production of plantations like sugar, cotton, and tobacco, were did not produced by England itself. Those are the social background of Augustan period, and now I'll move to the literature figures and the social works. First, I'd like to talk about the characteristic of its literary. In this period, poetry was considered to be at its peak within the made-up style, which is very political and satirical. Besides the poetry, this period also known as the age of neoclassicism because they emphasize the legality, emotion suppressed, and accuracy, which is aimed to achieve proportion, unity, harmony, and elegance in their literary works, so it will be able to generate pleasure and directing human behavior as social creators. And now we move to the important figures and their literary works. First, I will talk about the prose. The famous figures during this period were Daniel Defoe. He was born in 1660 and died in 1731. He was an English trader, writer, journalist, pamphleteer, and a spy. He is most famous for his novel Robinson Crusoe, which is published in 1719, and it is claimed to be the second only to the Bible in its number of translations. You can see here the title page from the first edition of Robinson Crusoe. Defoe wrote many political tracts and was often in trouble with the authorities and spent a period in prison. The second figure is Jonathan Swift. He was born in November 1667 and died in October 1745. He was an Anglo-Irish satirist, essayist, political pamphleteer, and poet, also the cleric. Swift is remembered for his works such as A Tale of a Top, and you can see the cover of his works titled A Tale of a Top here, and A Gulliver's Travels, also The Modest Proposal. He is a very sensitive person, an arrogant one, vengeful, and also a person who is always angry. He harbored bitter feelings for his own destiny and for the surrounding community. This feeling he poured into his works. And the third figure is Samuel Johnson, who was born in September 1709 and died in December 1784. He was an English writer who made lasting contributions to English literature as a poet, playwright, essayist, moralist, literary critic, biographer, editor, and a lexicographer. And now we are entering the drama section. The first important figure in drama is John Gay, who was born in June 1685 and died in December 1732. He was an English poet and dramatist and member of the Scribblers' Club. He is best remembered for The Beggar's Opera, a ballad opera which is a satirical play against Italian operas. And you can see the opera's painting made by William Hogarth. The second figure is George Lilah, who was born in 1698 and died in 1739. He was an English playwright and tragedian, also a jeweler in London. He produced his first stage work as Sylvia, or The Country Burial, in 1730, and a year later, his most famous play, The London Merchant. As you can see attached, that was the playbill for an 1803 production of The London Merchant. And now we're entering the next section, poetry. The most important figure in this poetry section was one and only Alexander Pope. He was born in 1688 and died in 1741. He is regarded as one of the greatest English poets and the foremost poet of the early 18th century. He is best known for his satirical and discursive poetry, including The Rape of the Lock and an essay on criticism, as well as for his translation of Homer. After Shakespeare, Pope is the second most quoted writer in the English language. Per the Oxford Dictionary of Quotations, some of his verses having even become popular idioms in common parlance. He is considered a master of the heroic couplet. You can see the picture reference of an essay on criticism as attached. Well, that brings us to the end of this video. So after you watch this video, have you got more understanding about Augustan period? That was an interesting information, wasn't it? And to end this video, I would like to close with a wonderful quote from Alexander Pope. "Blessed is the man who expects nothing, for he shall never be disappointed," was the ninth beatitude. Thank you for watching this video. May all those I have shared be beneficial for all of us. Good afternoon and have a nice day, everyone. Bye.